This is Umar for BoxNation. We're in Los Angeles, ahead of a sold-out BMO Stadium tomorrow night. His Excellency confirmed that today. And Timothy Bradley caught a bit of a stray on that post as well.
Yeah. I think there's been. Ryan Garcia went off on one last night. I don't know if you saw it. It's strange.
It's unlike him.
Yeah, I think people always like to sort of criticise and maybe diminish a lot of the work that's gone in. And I don't feel like there's been a card like this in America, potentially ever. Certainly for a long, long time. So His Excellency gave us the news that it was sold out. Big news for Riyadh season. It's going to be an epic night, epic atmosphere, great fight card, Eminem, sunshine, and plenty of drama down there, and obviously weighing in a ceremonial weigh-in shortly.
Can we just get a confirmation on timings for the main event, Eddie?
It'll be approximately anywhere between 8:30 and 9 p.m.
And how many are we expecting tomorrow night?
Around 22,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Should be jumping in there. You got stitched up. Terence Crawford is a darts player.
Yeah, I should have gone for cricket, really, shouldn't I? But how do you have a game of cricket, like the two of you? So I had to go for a one-on-one sport and had to go for something that I presumed he would be useless at, presumed he didn't play. I went for the sport of darts. Unfortunately, Terence Crawford is part of the darts league. He's invested tens of thousands of dollars, in his own words, in darts equipment and plays, most days. So I couldn't really have got it any more wrong, could I? But some more great content and just another example of the personality and charisma of Terence Crawford, which I don't think gets showcased enough, really. So I've been happy to sacrifice my credibility this week to raise the profile of Terence Crawford and make everyone realise that he actually has got a big personality and does talk, rather than just, sitting in front of interviews that sometimes you're not going to see their character and personality. Because in a lot of situations, when they come into rooms like this, and this is their job to speak to you guys, when they're just going down a row and they're making weight, you're not always going to get the best of someone. You're going to get the facts that you need from the questions, but in terms of personality and charisma, sometimes you've got to bring it out of them in a different way.
If Terence was with yourself throughout that journey he had with Top Rank, where do you think he'd be in terms of a star?
He'd be a much bigger star, but look, could I have delivered the same opportunities for him to become undisputed? Maybe not. I think he's had a great career. I think he's manoeuvred very well. But I think, I did Andre Ward's podcast earlier, and I feel like sometimes in these relationships, the same thing happened with Shakur. Like, Aram's the kind of guy that when he loses money on a fighter, and he said, you remember the famous line, why would I do a Terence Crawford fight when I can buy myself another mansion in Beverly Hills or something like that? Once you say that, the relationship's over, right? And he did it with Shakur. Well, and it's not really Bob's fault, but when Shakur says, I've got 2 fights left, and then after that I'm leaving, why would you push him? Why would you want to promote him? Do you know what I mean? And they kind of, over that period, the year or whatever it is, their profile drops and diminishes. They're not really being championed. And I feel like Crawford, once they started losing money on him, just decided that they weren't going to push him and promote him in the same way. Because let's be honest, he's pound for pound number one. When people say, Crawford's not a draw, Crawford doesn't have commercial value. Bullshit. Crawford is the pound for pound number one of the sport.
You have him over Usyk?
Pound for pound. I have him and Usyk, and then I have Inoue. People will always debate that top 3. I guess Usyk's has dethroned, I think, more champions, especially on away territory, under the cosh more. So probably Usyk, but I don't know. Crawford's brilliant. They're both unbelievably skillful.
Obviously, you want Israil to come through tomorrow night. Should Terence win, what are you hearing about whether the Canelo fight will happen, a Boots fight will happen? What are you hearing?
The only conversation, after Boots won, His Excellency FaceTimed me in the changing room, spoke to Boots and said, do you want to fight Crawford? And the answer, he said, yes, send me the contract. But I think he said to him, and I think it was recorded, if we can't get the Canelo fight, we will talk. Because that's what His Excellency wants. He wants Canelo against Crawford. I don't think that fight will happen.
Why?
because I think Canelo will give His Excellency a number that just won't work. That's what I think. And then if that's the case, then he needs an opponent. You know, and when you look at it, you've got Tim Tszyu, you've got Virgil Ortiz, and you've got Jaron Ennis. The biggest fight of all of those is Jaron Ennis. But they're all great fights. So, you know, but I think he'll, on Sunday, Terence Crawford, the first thing on Terence Crawford's mind will be, why didn't I have a rematch clause?
Okay, you've got to go to Matchroom, pick this back up.
Okay.
Just picking this back with Eddie, you had Bam presented there with his WBC belt, and what else was presented? What's there?
This is WBC, do this thing now. Look, the badge, look, with Bam's face on. So I'm wearing that nice and proud at the weigh-in. One of our star boys, pound for pound great, Jesse Bam Rodriguez. So, yeah, I want to get one for all our top world champions and just wear them like a pearly king, you know?
Okay, just a couple of things away from this I want to get through with you. Actually, what were you doing today with Man United's team? What were you doing?
They were training and they just invited me down to have a little watch. It was really cool, actually. Down at UCLA. Just met a couple of the boys and just had a little mooch around. Yeah,
As you
nice.
do.
Yeah, Robbie Williams was there, gaffer from Soccer Aid, you know, so it's nice.
Eddie, obviously, Anthony's got a huge occasion on a Riyadh season bill with Daniel Dubois. You guys, 258, will be thinking about the future. What's he said? Is he like full focus on Dubois?
Honestly, never. AJ has never gone into a fight and talked about the future beyond one fight. Do you know what I mean? So for me, I think it's a natural progression of hopefully beat Daniel Dubois and then watch December 21st and see what happens, you know?
I've asked that because there was that FaceTime clip with him and Tyson, His Excellency. Like, I was just wondering in private, as he said, look, I really want to get this fight with Tyson on, regardless of what happens.
No, he doesn't. He just, once a fight's made, that's it. You know, the only thing that matters to him is Daniel Dubois. Of course he wants to fight Tyson Fury. He'd love to fight Usyk again, but everything's irrelevant till September 21st.
Okay. Just the last one. On our last video, there was a lot of comments about what you said to me about your relationship with Frank Warren in Queensbury. It was like, obviously we know you're getting on, you're doing great things, but a lot of people were quite surprised about you were so complimentary and you actually enjoy working with Queensbury and Frank.
Like, a lot of people said, AJ included, to be fair, that it's just about the money, right? And the reason that myself and Queensbury came together initially is because it was a request of His Excellency, because the opportunities for our fighters were incredible, and because financially it was very good for us. I'm never gonna lie to you in an interview. Of course, money was a huge motivator for me and Frank to work together. But what is completely irrelevant to that situation is how we've got on since, and how we've enjoyed it, how we've enjoyed each other's company, how we've enjoyed working together as businesses from top to bottom. And that's not a lie.
But what is it about George and Frank that makes you think
because
that
they
way?
remind me in some ways of my family or my relationship with my dad. You know, Frank and my dad didn't always get on from a business level, but they come from similar backgrounds. You know, they're probably both quite similar. You know, they're both very family orientated, and you see that with George and Francis. Frank's son, you know, he's very influential in the business. So am I with my dad. You know, I grew up in boxing. George grew up in boxing. Francis grew up in boxing. So there's a lot more similarities than you'd probably expect and anticipate. And I think when you're fighting and fighting and fighting for so long, like we were, it does actually become a little bit draining, and it can actually deplete your energy a little bit. And then when that stops and your energy gets lifted by situations and relationships and nights that are actually enjoyable, life becomes a little bit more enjoyable. So although we'd never give in, and although we'll fight tooth and nail with how it was, now it's just become a lot more enjoyable.
Was it easy to bury the history?
Actually was, yeah. I'm a bit different to my dad in that respect, because I've fallen out with people in the past in boxing, and I've then worked with them again. And my old man said it to me on occasion, how'd you put out? Oh,
wouldn't go near them again. I said, no problem, it's business. You know, we don't have to go around each other's for a Sunday roast, but it's a good opportunity for us, good opportunity for the fighters, no problem. Whereas my old man, and probably Frank, a little bit more old school, but, you know, I think that everyone's happy. People, you know, the businesses are in good shape. The fighters are getting incredible opportunities, and we're enjoying it.
Long may it continue. Thank you for your time.
Cheers.